And we are joined now by Democratic Representative Adam Smith from Washington. He is the ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time. I know you were briefed this week on the September 2nd strikes by Admiral Frank Bradley. Now we're hearing from the Defense Secretary today. I'm curious if you're satisfied with the Secretary's explanation.
I am not, and I've seen the video, and it should be released to the public so people can see it. The way it's being described, even in your report there, was wildly misleading and inaccurate. Because what happened, so the boat gets hit, and we've all seen the video of the boat catching on fire, but the second video, which they have not released, shows the remains of that boat. And it is capsized, and the two men are clinging to the bow of the boat. It's hard to tell because the rest of it's underwater. It's pretty clear, I think, that the boat had been broken in half at this point, and they were clinging to what remained of it, which, like I said, had been capsized. They were not armed. They did not have any communications devices. They were simply clinging to the top of this boat. And the idea that the cocaine had survived, there was no evidence of that. I mean, I suppose it's possible that it was tucked underneath that small remaining piece of the boat after the fire, but it seems highly unlikely. If the public can see that video, they are going to be every little bit as troubled as I am by the decision to make that second strike.
And so the president says he supports releasing the full video. The defense secretary, as we noted at the beginning of our show, has not, he just keeps saying they're reviewing it because of ongoing operations. He wouldn't commit to releasing the full video. We've seen, as you know, video of multiple strikes, some released on the same day.
Yep.
Why do you think they won't release this one?
They won't release it because it looks bad for them. Period, full stop. There's no sources, there's no methods, there's nothing revealed by this. You know, certainly nothing more than what's revealed by all of the footage that they have released to date on multiple different strikes. So the only reason they won't release it is because it directly contradicts what the Secretary has claimed. And if the president wants to release it, last time I looked, his job is, he's the president. He could go ahead and release it. So I urge them to do so, and I also urge to have a public hearing where Secretary Hegseth comes in and answers questions from congressional oversight hearings like House Armed Services and Senate Armed Services to get an explanation on this, because this seems like a clear violation of the rule of law. And look, you know, the Secretary just doesn't seem to think that the law applies to him. Let's start with the fact that he calls himself the Secretary of War. The law says he's the Secretary of Defense. You can't just ignore the law because you feel like it. It should matter to people, regardless of party.
And the secretary did say that the reason that they're looking into this, he didn't commit to releasing the whole thing, is because it could threaten the administration's ongoing operations. Again, reiterating, you've seen the full video. What do you say to that? Nonsense.
Yeah. No, look. No, it's ridiculous. I mean, compared to the videos, I mean, I don't know how many videos they've released. It's over a dozen at this point of similar strikes. And look, the video shows, clear as day, by the way, there's no fog of war. You can clearly see the two gentlemen in question on top of the remains of this boat standing there. There's nothing going to be revealed by leaking this video. Releasing this video. And I think it should be. And look, I understand the need to stop drugs coming into the U.S. I question whether or not this mission is really accomplishing that. But all Americans should want the United States to follow the law. You know, I'm at the Reagan Defense Forum, and we've heard Secretary Hegseth and others talk about how the United States, greatest country in the history of the world, you know, all that. Well, if we're going to make that claim, we have to work hard to live up to that claim.
Do you plan to call Secretary Hegseth to testify before your committee?
Sadly, it's not my committee at the moment.
Right.
I'm in the minority.
Yes, that's
Mike
true.
Rogers is the chairman. I absolutely would if I was the chair, and that's another problem, and this is a bipartisan concern. The Defense Department has not been responsive to Congress. Just to give you one example, the execute order that authorized this mission was was made on August 5th. The White House tasked the Department of Defense with basically blowing up these boats. By law, that execute order is supposed to be released to Congress within 30 days. They haven't released it. They have no intention of releasing it. That oversight is crucially important. It's crucially important in a representative democracy. If you don't have a totalitarian government, if you have government of the people, by the people, for the people, then the people have a right to exercise oversight. And the Department of Defense has not been responsive to that right. So I think we need to continue to press, and I will do so from my current position, and we'll urge the majority to do so as well.
Have you had conversations with Mike Rogers or other of your Republican colleagues on your committee? Do you know where they stand on that?
I have. I mean, where we stand right now, so a few of us got this brief from Admiral Bradley, gosh, when was it? A couple days ago now.
Right.
And now the next step is we want the full committee to receive this brief. So as last I checked, we are going to have a classified briefing, and there is classified information contained in this, so it is appropriate for the full House committee. I think we should have it for the full Senate committee. After that, I think we should continue this investigation to talk to more people in the chain of command. What were the factors that led to making this decision, and what's the legal justification for it? There's all kinds of problems, and I think it really stems from the fact that Secretary Hegseth doesn't feel like the law applies to him. He should be able to do what he wants to do. And we need to dial that back, not just because of this incident, because of what it can mean going forward.
And just generally, before I let you go, in terms of an effective strategy to stop drugs coming into the U.S., I heard you say you believe that we need to stop drugs coming into the United States. Do you think this is an effective way to do it? And if not, what is the alternative?
I do not, and also I think there's reason to believe, is the president committed to this? He said he's going to pardon the convicted drug dealer, former president of Honduras. And he's doing that to gain political advantage in the Honduran elections for the side that he thinks is more sympathetic to Trump. I mean, if you're pardoning convicted drug dealers, how can you be screaming about, oh my gosh, Maduro is an indicted drug dealer? Yeah, but convicted is worse. He's pardoned other people who have been connected to drugs, including the Silk Road crypto guy, Ross Ulbricht. So if we're committed to stopping drugs, we shouldn't be pardoning convicted drug dealers. So there's a lot more that goes into this, and then overlaying on top of this is the president's stated desire for regime change in Venezuela and his continued threats to use military force to do this. So is this about drugs coming into the U.S., or is it about regime change? The more effective way to do this, by the way, is to work with partners. 20 years ago, we did a thing called Plan Colombia, where we worked with the Colombian government, and it had a major significant impact on stopping a lot of the narco drug traffickers. Work with partners to stop it. Don't just come flying into other people's countries and blow stuff up without having cooperation and a clear idea where you're going. So I think there are better ways to do that. And I question the strategy and, of course, the legality of the strategy as well. Remember, Congress hasn't authorized any of this.
Yeah. All right, Congressman Adam Smith, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
We authorized Plan Colombia, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thank you so much.